Great, it's after 10. Let's kick this off. Good morning. Friday, November 5th, 2021. This is Low Code Campfire, episode number 26. And we have an open lines Friday set up today, which means any topic you want to talk about. This is something we do every Friday from 10 a.m. Central Time, and just an opportunity to come together, talk about Plant and App and low code in general. And if you have something to show or help with ideas and suggestions, please do. And this is an all skill levels presentation or meeting, actually. All our past episodes are recorded. That's on our YouTube channel, plantandapp.com, or excuse me, Plantandapp. And there's, don't forget to subscribe and hit the alarm button. And there's a link to that if you want to snap. There's some other links that will hit if you get your camera out. So we do it every week. We have a pretty loose agenda, but we do introductions. If you're first time at the meeting and feel like saying hello, please do. Other than that, we'll ask about what you've got going on. We'll talk about new contributions to the Campfire website. Whatever other topics get submitted, there are an opportunity to submit topics in advance. The main guideline is be nice and don't have a lot of noise going on behind you. And here's the QR code for if you want to submit questions and topics in advance. So good morning, everyone.
Morning, Dale. Morning, everybody.
Good morning, all.
Hello. Good evening to some of us.
Yes.
Yes. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Covers everything.
This international thing, it gets me. I say good morning and people are about to check out for the day. Okay, so let's get started. First call, what's on your mind for Campfire today? Somebody with a challenge?
Well, I have a question, which might lead to a new feature request, not sure.
Slide that in there, a new feature.
Has anyone attempted, when opening up a form, to set a default focus on one of the controls? Because right now, by default, when you open up a form, nothing is focused. So someone's always got to click on the first field and then start typing. I like the ability to immediately focus on a field so the person doesn't even have to get the mouse involved and they can immediately start typing.
So there is an easy way to do that for at least most, and the syntax, I might have to struggle for a minute, the syntax, but there's you can add a header. Let's see, let me pull that up. So if we were to look in Campfire and look at a form, you guys could have stopped me.
I think it's one of the early ones.
It is. So if we add a text field here, custom attributes, there's an attribute name that has to do with focus. Yeah, autofocus, cool. So, yeah, autofocus. So you say, I think you give it a true. And so let's give it let's add another field here so we can tell the difference. So we'll put text. Put text box 2 on the front on the form, refresh, and it's focused at text box. So it's simply a custom attribute.
Okay. Autofocus true.
Sorry.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. It probably would be nice as a checkbox or something. I mean, that does seem to be a common use case. Yeah.
I wouldn't even say necessarily a checkbox on the control itself, because then that would lead people to potentially accidentally check more than one, which would then cause conflicts. But if maybe at the top under the general settings area of the form, to have a drop down maybe of all of the controls that are on the form and select one, and then that becomes the autofocus.
It's just tough because then that does get into a whole development effort versus just we provided it as autofocus. And then it seems to me that tab order is also TabIndex attribute. Let's do that. So that's another one that play along. I think you can add an attribute TabIndex to control how things tab around. So TabIndex of 100, and then now I'm doing this live. It's probably be messed up. Make this be TabIndex of 200. And so if we do that right, then when we hit tab, it should go up to the other one. So you can control the tab order as well with TabIndex. So those two things are very useful.
Yes, I have to definitely write that down.
I would suggest that TabIndex setting could be just one of the settings of the field itself instead of being something you type in yourself. And I think also that it could have the logic where, like, if there's 10 fields and what you're adding, it should be third in line, that when you choose third in line, that it recalculates the others. Just as a point of reference, I'm familiar with another form generator that does that very thing. And I used it all the time. I have actually found that to be missing here, and that was an odd thing. There's not many things that are missing. This would be one that I think that, that would be a nice improvement, the TabIndex.
Dale, does the autofocus also works in pop-up? Do you know?
I'm sorry. So if we had a pop-up form, would it
It would work if the form you open it in a pop-up.
I think it does.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the scenario in which I needed it, I think, way back. But memory might not be perfect.
So let's see. I would need to have what we're saying, another form.
Just turned it into a pop-up.
All right, help me through it, or somebody do it.
Put the form in manage, open the header, initial view. There we go. And you've already set it, a tab order, right?
Right. So then we're going to
Save and pop it up.
and the answer is no, it's not.
Yeah, didn't do it.
Okay, but you could still probably do that with some jQuery.
Yeah, well, yeah, I would think.
That's not a big deal, really. At least to set the initial focus.
So I am going to reset this form back the way it was. I'm going to get rid of my text boxes. So just before we go away, we have its tab index, and then that's a number, and the lower number comes first in the tab order. And then it's autofocus for the one that you want it to be, and tab index. I guess actually now that we're talking about this, I want to go back and try one more thing in here. So we'll make this back to available here. My question was, well, we didn't get the autofocus. I hit the tab key and it does pay attention to the tab index. So that part of it works. Anyway, put it back. And I'm going to get rid of these extra text boxes. Save. Because that'll lead to what else we can talk about today. So did anybody else have a first call, something else that you all want to dive into?
I don't have something to dive into yet, but I wanted to announce, to give an update regarding the beta.
Please.
Is now the right time, or is a special slot for
No. Jump in.
Cool. So we pretty much wrapped up the code. Now people are testing it internally. So I was thinking that we'll push the beta launch for Monday. So that's when we'll send people that are already in the beta program. You'll notice that I created a Google group, beta@planetramp.com. So we can use that to communicate internally. In the meantime, we also have the beta section on the community portal under development. We have the first iteration. Ben gave us some very good feedback. So hopefully next week it will also be live. But in the meantime, we'll keep communicating on emails.
So you said it was a Google group?
A Google group, yeah. So you can email beta@planetramp.com, and everybody will get the email.
Oh. So I didn't understand. So it's an email address.
Yes. And if you go to the community portal, I think you might already have the permission. Yes, there's a new beta testing in the menu. Yeah, so here will be like the beta program section where we'll list releases. You can drill down in the current release, and then you'll see the entire change log. And there will be some process to report things, comment on things. There's a bit of logic built in here already. But we'll add more until it's finished to how Ben likes it to work. Cool.
I can be very picky.
That's good. That's good. We want it to be a good experience, and we have the tools. We can build our own tools, and we need to take advantage of that, of course.
It looks like a great start.
Yeah, we also, by the way, we also want to add the ability, I think this might already be in place, I'm not sure, but we added on the console a beta role as well. So then when you create a new app on our infrastructure, you can select from a dropdown that you want a beta. So you are not restricted to testing only on your own servers. You can also test some stuff on the applications that we create.
Very good. Nice to see progress here. And as we talk about with so many things, it's crawl, walk, run. We'll get better and faster at this and add more people to it. I know that there's talk about trying to make sure that everybody tests all the different features, or that all the different features get tested, and that we'll use this to get good and quick feedback. So very nice.
We also marked, you see some items, I think they either will be difficult to test or they don't provide us much value. So you see no feedback needed on some items, but we left them in the list. So at least you know, for example, that PlanetNet now supports object qualifiers in the screens, in the SQL console and page builder screens. So now it supports object qualifier. I mean, there's very few people left that still use them, but I don't think, of course, if anyone wants to test it, feel free to do it, but it wasn't a high priority item and we didn't want to test it. And same with Clicatel. Clicatel, it's an old add-on of ours. We no longer use it. We have Twilio that everybody uses, but there was a TLS issue that we fixed. But again, I don't think it's worth spending your time on that one.
Yep. Yeah, I know that on object qualifiers, DNN phased out several years back. So it's only, unless people went back to that version and installed it and then upgraded it, that's the only case.
Yeah, I was going to say it probably will still affect a lot of people if they've been doing upgrades from older versions, because that's going to stick through regardless of what version you're on, because you started with the object qualifiers.
We do have some clients in that spot, and we do want to support them, but it's not a focus certainly going forward.
And finally, Dale, if you want to click on the actions, and there is a view testing notes, the last one. So we added, I mean, some will have more information about what to test, what to watch out for. This maybe you can open a different one. Maybe the, let's see, which ones? I think the one with the automation enhancement, maybe it has more information what to look for. But you can open any one, any of them. I think.
Sorry, I just didn't see which one you were talking about.
Maybe it was on page 2, the automation one. Yeah, the last one in the list. View testing notes. This one doesn't have. Yeah, with some we have more testing notes, like what to watch out for, what to test. So this will, our QA team will fill this up. So then you have the full picture of other implication besides the title.
See, that's good. It shows the complete list of changes for that one. And jump over to that one. So, great, glad that they. That's a useful feature. Good. Good. Anything else on beta program? That's going to run starting Monday and go for
10 days. I think is what we talked initially, and I think it's a good time frame.
Is this screen that you're showing us, is that available now, or is this a preview of what's coming?
I think I'm not sure if you already have the roles, but I can give you the roles. Everything is in place, so it's on the community portal, so you can have an early preview if you wanted. Yeah, just know that it's still being worked on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if I could just interject, it's you could probably preview it, but it's not officially in use just yet.
Well, I was just thinking along the lines of if the beta is out on Monday and I'm in the beta program, how much participation did you want me to do on Monday and thereafter?
So it will run for 10 days, and if you can go through these items, pick a few, maybe those that are not addressed by others, because then we'll cover all of them. Pick a few items at your own pace. Of course, 10 days is the duration until we end this phase, and then validate each item that yes, it does it, or creates more problems, or whatever feedback you encounter.
So beta testers will get the role as soon as we feel all the beta testers will get it. You offered it to Mark early, but it'll appear on Community Portal as an option.
Thank you.
Did everyone in the group here get put into that program, or was there something we were supposed to do?
If you want to get enrolled, yes, let me know and I will add you to the group.
Okay.
It's opt-in, Jim.
Opt-in. Fine. I know we've talked about it several times. I didn't know if we had opted in already.
So I understand that you want in, Jim.
I do, if you'll have me.
I would gladly have you. Thanks, much appreciated.
You've invested much in this community. You are absolutely welcome.
But that looks good. I'm happy to see, well, a process being evolved and opportunities to participate in the beta program. I'm excited about it. Thanks for setting it up.
Thanks. Let's thank Ben for thinking it through, and looking forward to see this first iteration. And we'll do this every month, probably from now on. Awesome.
I would just say too that when this finally does come out, if anyone has any suggestions or comments on the interface, by all means, let me know.
We'll do, Ben.
In other words, blame Ben.
No,
I
no,
don't
no,
think
no.
that's what he was saying. No.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, and this can be a forum for that, right? Because I think it's good. This group is going to have a lot of beta testers. So if there's any struggles with it or places we can improve, we can touch on that here too as well. Good. So I was just going to ask, in the emails that go out, we publish the meeting password. Do you ever have to use the meeting password? All right, I'll drop that. When I was originally unfamiliar with Google meetings, excuse me, Zoom meetings, I didn't know if you, I mean, it makes a set of passwords, so I didn't know if you needed it. So I'll drop that from the, we don't need to communicate it. So Campfire contributions, we have none. It's just the same as it was last week. So keep them coming, and I'll try and get more in for next week as well. But we have 11, and you know, I think we met internally with our team. We had an all-team hangout. I mentioned it, I think, on Wednesday, but we had an all-team hangout yesterday, and this is part of what we, you know, when I talk about what we get done internally, the part where we're building community by having these kinds of webinars and meetings, and then this Campfire site. I mean, I'm quite proud of it. As a matter of fact, I think I'll add the Autofocus stuff and the TabIndex stuff here so that that can be my contribution for next week.
You beat me to it.
Oh, well, if now I don't take away it. We don't want to take away anyone else's joy.
Actually, I had a question about this list here, and again, let other people chime in if they think I'm just being a little too ridiculous. But would it be beneficial to potentially have a column here where, when we're designing these contributions, to indicate which modules these contributions touch upon? So people could filter on like contributions that, you know, deal with ActionGrid, or contributions that deal with ActionForm or MyTokens or things of that nature.
So some kind of a type or a
Tag, because you could be multiple things.
Yep. Although we support you know, many to one, we could find some way to do that. Absolutely. I think that's a good suggestion, and I think one of the areas where I was going next in this is what suggestions. How can we make this site better? What are your top? I mean, how we can use it, what else we can do with it. I think we've talked, I know I want to do better on the notification part. So that's on the list. Just wondering if there's anything else that comes to mind. All right, well, that's kind of an ongoing and open offer. If there's more what can we do with this? Ben, I really don't want to steal your joy. Do you want to do the autofocus, or I just want to? We'll pick one of us to do it. So you tell
Yeah,
me.
I could put it in if you want. It's not a big deal.
Autofocus and TabIndex. I think it would be terrific. The other thing that very small changing, and as you saw, I started I've made the homepage publicly visible, trying to make this a little bit more inviting, and got rid of all of the default text that comes with a Plant an App application on the homepage. So far, all I have is a couple of buttons to go someplace else to view the contributions, and then for those who find this and haven't for some reason signed up for the webinar, I mean, I think everyone should sign up for the webinar, right? So, or the meeting. So I've got a link to that so we can get to it. Probably put other things here too. So if you have ideas about how we can better use this real estate to invite people in and make this useful, let me know about that as well. And you can see, I mean, this is a very rudimentary start, but we'll get somebody that has, I'm very black and white, and maybe shades of gray, but in terms of building a nice interface, a nice visual, we'll probably get our creative team involved on it a little bit. Looks more professional, something like this. Maybe I know Bogdan is working with folks on making our website look, getting a refresh. So maybe Campfire can follow that. I'll follow along with that as well. Cool. So we covered the wish list. Didn't get much on there, but we had the type of contribution. We'll find a way to put that in, and maybe that, yeah, that shouldn't be that hard. And so what else? Now we're on to open lines. We're plenty of time to talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Well, you know, I can't stand the thought of hearing some singing going on, so I'm going to speak up. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I saw Bogdan's email about the short extension of the licenses for the other modules that's contained within Plant an App. And it got me thinking. I just thought this might be the appropriate forum in which to say it out loud. But I find myself wishing that maybe one or two other modules might be included in the list of those that you're still going to have available. And you know, it's just worth saying, but I, for one, would love to see the ActionGrid be continued to be available as well. Looking for some camaraderie on that one, if there is some, but otherwise, I just thought I'd say it out loud. ActionForm and ActionGrid go together so well, and if I had a second, I would say MyTokens, but just talking out loud, I wish those modules would continue to be available. Have you?
No, and yes, I
Yeah, have you had feedback like that already? And is there enough of it to make a difference?
Yeah, I think, I mean, what we notice is when people start needing to have ActionGrid, needing ActionGrid and MyTokens, you're already building a system, so you need Plant an App. Maybe you don't need all the features, but you don't need to use all the features. So that's how we structure this. We kept it for people that need contact forms, you know, these kind of things to place on the site. But when you start building data visualization on it, with it, it's likely that we are competing with Plant an App.
Well, yeah, I see your point. You know, I'm thinking there's not, maybe it's not worth going into it anymore, but I like being able to see the results of a form in a grid, you know, even a contact form, a simple form where it's not really an application, but yeah, I get your point, Bogdan.
The
Thanks.
I've been on both sides of this particular fence, right? I came as a developer that was using the modules, and now on the Plantin app side. I understand the appeal and the need. I will say my perspective is that the modules as they existed were an incredibly good deal to be able to put together everything that you got for the price that you got. It was just really incredible, and it's on this side of the fence. I don't think that that's a very sustainable thing. So packaging them all together and making them be a development system. I mean, that's just kind of an executive decision, but there's releasing. I mean, ActionForm at $50 a copy is really just an incredible deal for what you get, and it's a
Agreed.
as we've said before, it's not really sustainable. So yes, but I guess is the answer. Mark, you said something about contributions. Do you want to do that privately first, or you want to jump in?
Yeah, I'd prefer to just show you something that you might like to see before making any commitments to big changes.
I'm sorry, you want to show now?
No, let's do it after the meeting.
Okay, great. So anyone have fun projects or getting into interesting areas? We're always interested in talking about how people are using our development capabilities. We are, for example, behind the scenes, I am quietly paddling along on trying on making a support system replacement. For example, we have the Dan and Sharp Help Center console. We get tickets by email, so I'm working on a consolidated ticketing system that kind of brings all the features together and gives us a single point for places to look, and instead of looking at 3 or 4 or 5, because we also have community that we're watching. So trying to consolidate, that's the project that I'm working on. Slowly, that's the last thing on. After I get all my work done, I get to do the fun stuff.
Sounds good.
So I have an open ticket about ActionForm not working once we turn off authentication, anonymous authentication.
Yes, sir.
And the interesting piece of that, as I'm trying to work around it, is what I'm ending up having to do is build a separate little app to get network login information and pass it back to my Plantin app. Because when we enable the fix so that it runs without anonymous, the app requires users to be set up and things like that that we don't know about ahead of time. So if anybody has any insights on how to make an API call to maybe a Razor script or something that could get a network ID that would get set up as a separate app, I could sure use some help there.
So remind me, Jim, where we are on that. You've requested that, and it's not been fixed yet, correct?
Well, we came up with the fix was to change a IIS configuration, which got rid of the bug, but it still doesn't work quite right. in that action form goes, and if you don't have all your users defined from your network login before you get there, action form doesn't perform properly. If we define the users with the domain and everything, it works fine, but that's not the business requirement I have.
Is
So,
can the user be set up on the fly?
I haven't tried that yet. Right now, users come in, they log in. The app we're trying to replace, the users come in, we get their network domain name off of it, and we track it they work against a common profile. And doing that in building that user list might be the right solution. It seems to be not quite right. Probably it wasn't really a topic I was going to bring up for this, but since there was so much silence.
No, I appreciate that. I'm just I know that we provide the actions to allow creation of the users and assigning roles. So I know it's not, I mean, if your design was hoping to route them through a single user or a single role, but
right. And the problem with that, in first pass testing at creating the user on the fly, is it seems like if they're not defined to begin with, ActionForm has a problem still, because the requirement to get to the ActionForm is that the user has rights and be authenticated in ActionForm, not just on the server, which is how our other .NET apps run. It's that ActionForm's trying to do an authentication separately from.
Yep.
And if they're defined, it logs me right in, and surprisingly well. But
if the would it be solved by having an intermediary action form that would just check and work out authentication issues and then refer them on?
And that's the model I'm trying to build right now, which is, if I go either create a separate action form or a separate Plantain app instance that has the authentication on, and we just make an API call to it to get me the one piece of information I need from the network. That's the approach I'm working towards, but it seems like overkill if there's some simple script somewhere that I could make look like an API call, or a web page call and return that goes off to another site, gets me the network username of the person, and then passes it back to Plantain app. That would be all I would need. See, I thought Ben would be there. He'd be like, "Oh wait, I got a script."
I'm thinking.
Yeah,
so basically, if you don't mind me just asking to clarify, I'm going to reiterate it to try to clarify it, make sure I have it straight in my head. So you are trying to get your DNN instance to be able to read the domain information for the user that is logging into it.
The user that is accessing it, yes.
Right. Is this working off of an Active Directory?
It is. And if I enable, I have a script that will get it. If I turn off anonymous, with anonymous on a site, it brings back a blank for the domain, the AD username. I turn off anonymous in Plantain app, it requires me to have the user configured ahead of time. I don't know what users from the domain will come and access this. And so in our other applications that we're trying to replace, the authentication happens at the server level, the domain authentication, and the app doesn't actually have to validate those users. It just grabs that username and puts it off to a file that who came to the site. So once I get a solution, then I'm going to have something for the to share for you, up there in the. I won't feel so guilty for reading everybody else's contributions.
So one of the reasons I'm particularly unhelpful on this one is that I have no experience with ADs and such. I just, so with that authentication turned on, ActionForm won't operate at all.
With it on, it will not. With it on, without the user defined, as soon as I try to load ActionForm up, I get messages about not supporting a get property, and then, but if I define the user, it goes right in and logs the user in and does everything like you might expect it to.
No.
But because we're not trying to really validate users within Plantain app, and it's only ActionForm that has the problem, or that is, ActionGrid and the other tools work fine either way.
So tokens would work?
Tokens don't, that was my first attempt. Is tokens do work, but they're in their own, they share the same instance space in IIS, because they don't, if we disable anonymous or we have anonymous enabled so ActionForm works properly, the token just gets a blank username back.
But if, I guess where I was going is that if tokens functions when you have the authentication turned on, tokens could be used to call a workflow that could do all the creation things that to create the user is what I was.
So come at it from the, let the user come. I hadn't tried that combination. So get a token, call the workflow, then call action, then go into ActionForm. I might.
Right. So you could land, for example, you could have a landing page, and I'm just spitballing. I don't know if this would work. I'm just trying to work.
It's an approach I haven't taken yet. So that's.
I'm thinking you have a landing page that has a HTML module that has a token that calls a workflow, does the setup, and then refers them on.
Right. No, that I'll go play with that approach. That should work, because I can just create the users on the fly, even if I don't need them.
Yep.
Yeah, that.
Because it gives you the information you need.
On a secondary note to that, just curious what your requirements are. It sounds like you don't need to have the users created locally in the DNN instance, but it's not a problem if you do.
I don't think it'll be a problem. It's a client system, so I don't think they'll have a problem if we create them and then they never use their login. It's never going to be.
Well, I mean, like create them at the time someone attempts to log in. That's okay?
Yeah, that should be okay.
Now, my other question is the requirement that this has to be a method directly within Plantanet?
No,
The only reason I ask is because I did something, I think, very similar, if not exactly what you're referring to. But because I wasn't 100% familiar with Active Directory and all that stuff, and I wasn't trying to, recode and reinvent the wheel, I did find third-party software that actually integrates with Active Directory and allows for auto login. And it creates the user on the fly if it finds them within the Active Directory. It does everything for you, maps, you set up the mapping of the groups and whatnot, and it pretty much handles the whole entire thing for you.
and that's running in the DNN instance, or is that running someplace else? Okay.
It's running within the DNN instance.
Okay, because I did see some other third-party tools that talk about doing that kind of thing, but I have not explored them.
Well, if you want, I can send you the information on it.
If you would, please, that would be fun.
I don't know if it's something everyone wants to know, or I'll just send it to Jim directly.
Well, it's not like we can't talk about other products. So
Yeah, I know. I feel weird. It's just I happen to know that I used a product that pretty much did all this. That way you don't have to jump through hoops and whatnot trying to recode.
is this something on the store?
Active Directory interfacing.
Right.
Yes, it's in the store.
Well, let's take the mystery out here. Do you remember what it is?
Yeah, I just posted it in chat. AD Pro authentication. There it is.
So not if the intermediary one works, you can get it for free. If you're willing to pay a little bit for somebody else that has done the work, then there it is. So
Okay. I will go take a look at that.
all right. Solving problems, even if it's leveraging work that somebody else has done, that's still low code, right?
I think so.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely.
You're welcome.
12 minutes left. Anybody got something? I've said before, we don't have to use the full hour, but I am very patient if you want it. If there's that thing that you've been thinking about. Okay. Well, good. Then at this point, I think I'll say happy Friday, and I will read. Let's bring back one of my other slides here. There's this one. So this link is also on the information that we send out and things like that. But if you think of something or ways that this can be better, so any kind of feedback or questions and topics, they can be submitted here. And that's a Google form that comes right to my inbox, and I'll put it right onto the agenda so we have stuff to work on. And if there's something that requires some preparation on my part, we'll work with you on it, then we'll reach out and talk about it. But anyway, use this and let us help you. Beyond that, let's wrap. And if anyone wants to stay after class, I'm going to talk with Mark about his idea for another time. So we're good. Happy low coding and happy Friday. See you next week.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.